Asia is the largest continent on Earth, with more than 40 countries making up the entirety of it. It's only natural that it's filled with mystery, rich culture, history, and discoveries from all the countries belonging to the continent collectively. Asia is truly diverse and cultural, and each country has its own rich history and culture to offer. However, a couple of these things are so shocking that it makes a breakthrough in the whole world. From the Chocolate Hills to the Aokigahara Forest, here are 15 discoveries in Asia that shocked the whole world. Number 15. Chocolate Hills. These mysterious land formations are the Chocolate Hills found in Bohol, Philippines. But what's so special about these little hills? And why is it a famed and popular tourist attraction? Well, one or two hills would be nothing special, but there are almost 1,000 symmetrical and dome-like hills existing in the area. Usually they're covered in grass, especially during the rainy season. But during summer and dry season, the grass covering the hill will dry out and turn into brown, blending with the dirt, which gives the tiny hills the name Chocolate Hills. No one knows just how these hills formed, but there is a legend surrounding its origins. It was said that it was formed by a weeping giant who was heartbroken. Other legends also said that the mounds formed when two giants threw boulders at each other in a heated fight. Some geologists suggest that weathering might be behind the strange formations. No matter what, the Chocolate Hills is certainly a stunning attraction. Number 14. Sunken Cemetery. Cemeteries are usually shrouded in mystery, terror, and melancholy. It's the land of the dead, the final resting place for our deceased loved ones. Usually cemeteries have different layouts, but this cemetery found in the Camiguin Islands is quite unique. Just as the name suggests, the sunken cemetery is underwater. It wasn't intentionally put meters underwater, but instead, a tragedy caused it to be inaccessible. In the year 1871, the island was devastated when Mount Vulcan erupted. It caused a huge part of the island to be submerged in water, including the cemetery. Later on, in 1982, a huge cross was built on top of the sunken cemetery, but it also got destroyed just a few years after. Now another white cross was built to commemorate the cemetery and all the deceased lying underneath. Ever since its discovery, the sunken cemetery has been a popular tourist and diving spot in the island. The cemetery statues and structures under the water give you an eerie feeling, but the diverse marine life will also fascinate any diver. If that isn't enough, the rich history and legends surrounding the area will also satiate your curiosity. Number 13. 2D Cafe. We've seen cat cafes, and I'm pretty sure there are also dog cafes around. There are also some that offer board games while you drink their coffee. With all the competition around, business owners never really run out of ideas to make their establishment and businesses stand out. But perhaps one of the most unique shops that you can visit is the 2D Cafe found in Korea. Just take a look at this wonderful place. It looks two-dimensional, from the seats down to the tables. This place is certainly a perfect place to take aesthetic pictures for your Instagram feed. This is Cafe Yeonam-dong 23920 in Seoul, South Korea. This monochrome and comic-like interior is inspired by the famous and hit Korean drama called W that features Lee Jong-suk and Han Hyo-joo. In the drama, the main character and the lead were from two different worlds. One was from the real world, while the other one was stuck in the comic world. From the cups down to the interior of the place, you certainly won't find a cafe that's more special. Number 12. Great Iron Pillar. This 23 feet and 8-inch pillar is an eye-catcher in the middle of the Qutb complex at Murali in Delhi, India. However, the original location where the pillar really was erected is still up for debate. It was constructed by Chandragupta II, who reigned during 375 to 415 CE. The first notable thing about this pillar are the inscriptions, written on it by King Chandra himself. The verses are written in Sanskrit, and it was said to tell the eulogy of a king named Chandra. Aside from the fact that the pillar is iron, and it's nearly immune to rusting, another notable thing about the pillar is the rich history behind it. There is a notable fold in the middle of the pillar that is approximately 13 feet from the ground. Aside from iron, this pillar also withstood the test of time and a cannonball. Yes, you heard that right. It was said that this pillar was struck by a cannonball up close. Hence, there's a noticeable dent in the pillar. But other than that, the entire thing was intact. Even today, the pillar, who's more than 1,600 years old, still continues to look over the country through sun, heat, and rain. How cool is that? Number 11. Underwater ruins. Underwater cities are nothing new. Atlantis is one of the most famous lost cities in the world, but until now we're still yet to discover whether it really exists or if it's only the product of a mind of a brilliant philosopher. On the contrary, the Yonaguni Monument, or the Yonaguni Island submarine ruins, is an underwater city that's already discovered. It was discovered lying underneath the Ryukyu Islands in Japan. It was discovered in 1987. And even after years of its discovery, archaeologists and researchers are still fascinated by the ruins, and there are still many things to be unearthed surrounding the ruins. It got its nickname, Japan's Atlantis, because of the mystery surrounding the place. Yonaguni is comprised of pyramid-like monuments that are believed to be at least 10,000 years old. But the most curious thing about it is not only the fact that it still exists today, but how it's built and why. Some people believe that the ruins are part of a long-lost civilization that once resided in the Pacific. It might have been the Jomon, a group of people that lived in the islands during the prehistoric times, estimatedly as early as 1200 BC. However, some also argue that rather than believing it was man-made, it's more plausible that the ruins are actually naturally formed. It may have been formed through time due to the frequent earthquakes that are believed to occur in the site's location. Regardless of its origin, the site is still a great diving spot for experienced and beginner divers alike. Number 10. Hanging coffins. Different people across the world have their own practices when it comes to honoring the dead. For instance, the mummification of their deceased loved ones had been a custom and a sacred tradition in Egypt hundreds of years ago. While the majority of us prefer to be buried in a coffin 6 feet underground, this native tribe residing in Sagada has a long tradition of hanging their coffins. Usually, the coffins are propped on rocks, beams, and shelves. Ropes might also be sometimes used to support the coffins and prevent them from falling. There are many hanging coffins discovered in the tribe's area. But this practice isn't done just for anybody. This tradition was only reserved for the chieftains and honored people among the tribe. The people resting in these coffins are those who have done heroic and honorable deeds during their lifetimes that made them worthy of receiving such distinction. Some people say that this practice was made because back then, people believed that hanging the coffins will bring the spirits closer to the ancestral spirits. But some also say that the people believe that by hanging the coffins, the corpses inside will be safe from water and other things that might make the bodies rot faster if they're buried underground. This practice is also seen in other parts of Asia, particularly in Indonesia and China. If you ever want to see the hanging coffins of Sagada, take note that you can only look at them from afar, and you can't really climb the cliffs to see them up close. I mean, why would you want to in the first place? Surely you wouldn't want to see skeletal remains, unless you're a researcher or an archaeologist. Number 9. Twin epidemic. Just recently, the Kudini village in the Malappuram district in Kerala, India reached the local and national news. The reason surrounding its sudden popularity is a little outlandish. Based on statistics, twins only occur in estimatedly 1 out of 250 pregnancies. But in the tiny village of Kudini with roughly 2,000 families, 400 pairs of twins are among them, which is a very surprising census considering the village's population. The tiny village has 45 out of 1,000 chances in birth of twins, compared to the 9 in 1,000 births for the rest of India. The number just continues to increase, hence dubbed the twin epidemic. Number 8. Sichuan mask. No, this isn't a movie prop or a costume. This mask is actually a 3,000-year-old ceremonial gold mask that was discovered in China. The mask is called the Sanxing Dui, and ever since its discovery, it's been scattered across social media, especially on Weibo. It was believed that the artifact originated way back in 316 BC. Archaeologists discovered it in the sacrificial pits, and among the others, which consists of gold, silver, and other precious artifacts. Many Chinese archaeologists have said that the relic might have been part of the Shu kingdom. The unnatural features of the mask has made many researchers and historians digging for more facts about how or why the mask was made that way. And now it's time for today's pick. There are many discoveries around the world that are uncovered each year. In deserts and frozen wastelands, there are many mysteries that are yet to be uncovered. Just take a look at this picture. Among the most curious discoveries are ruins and crash sites of planes and ships. Each one has a backstory and a rich history to uncover behind the undoubtedly tragic ending. Do you know of ruins, shipwrecks, or crash sites in Asia that made you curious? As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's pick and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Before we go on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. You just leave a like on this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. And that's it. Try it. Number 7. Sanctuary of Truth. If you're looking for intricate structures, one of the most intricate and gorgeous structures you can find is the unfinished museum found in Pattaya, Thailand, called the Sanctuary of Truth. It was made out of wood, and even at a glance you'll immediately notice how well built the structure is. It's filled with wood-carved idols, and each crevice of the place has special details that will definitely amaze and intrigue any tourist. The construction of the structure was built in 1981, and until today, it's still being built. People say that the construction may continue until 2025. Number 6. Owakadani black eggs. At first glance, people may be hesitant to consume this black egg. Anyone that doesn't know what this black food is will probably inspect it closely before eating it. However, this is really just the kuro tamago, or literally black eggs that are famous in Japan, particularly in the mountain town of Hakone. The eggs are made using ordinary chicken eggs, but the shell turns black because they were boiled in the hot sulfur spring produced by the nearby volcano in the area. According to local traditions, eating these black eggs will add 7 years to a person's life. But don't be greedy, because eating more than one egg will also be bad for your health. Vendors of these eggs are always on the verge of danger because of all the sulfuric geysers around the area. Despite this, the Owakadani eggs are still a part of the village's tradition. In fact, Owakadani literally translates to the Great Boiling Valley. So if you like eggs and you want a long life, you might want to pay a visit to Hakone and try out the delicacy, Owakadani eggs. Number 5. Curse of Kuldara. Just a few kilometers from the desert town of Jaisalmer, Rajasthan in India lies Kuldara. You might expect to see a few people in the area. But the thing is, this deserted village is actually rumored to be shrouded in mystery and curse. The once prosperous village is now nothing but an abandoned town devoid of any life. According to legends, the town was once inhabited by the Paliwal Brahmins, but when a debauched Dewan set his eyes on the beautiful daughter of the village's chief, all started to go downhill. The daughter can't decline or else her people will suffer by the Dewan's high taxes, but she also doesn't want to accept. For this reason, the residents abandoned the entire town one night, and no one saw them ever again. All we know is that despite the settlement being abandoned, no one can ever live there again. It was believed that there are still ghosts that roam the desert. If you're intrigued with the area, you can explore it, but it's better if you just ignore the chills that you're bound to feel if you're roaming the area. Number 4. Angono petroglyphs. In the caves of Angono, Rizal, there are ancient stone carvings called petroglyphs. These are stylized anthropomorphic forms that are carved and etched on the rock shelter. Estimatedly, it must be 1,000 years old, and these illustrations are among the oldest known art carvings found in the Philippines. Originally, there were 127 carvings found in the cave, but because of negligence and carelessness, some of the carvings have disappeared. The illustrations found in the site are exactly how people communicated with each other in the past. Instead of letters, they gapped the bridge of communication through illustrations. It's also quite curious how mankind naturally liked to take note of things, even before we even learned how to read and write using letters. Number 3. Jars of Laos. In northern Laos, there's a place that continues to intrigue locals ever since its discovery. The notorious Plain of Jars are filled with carved stones that were believed to be used for funerary purposes. In some of these jars, human remains were found, which include skeletal remains, including teeth. Archaeologists are continuously unearthing the secrets of the jars, and in some parts of the excavation sites, they recently discovered jars filled only with the skeletal remains of infants and children. Carbon dating suggests that the bones in jars may have existed from way back in 773 CE. The local archaeologists aim to preserve this relic of the past, and so some of the jars and remains that they discovered are displayed in the local museum. Number 2. Kaku Pagodas. Pagodas and temples are usually an important part of most cultures and religions in Southeast Asia. But among the many, the Kaku Pagodas are one of the most distinguished. It's one of Myanmar's prized sites. It's considered the pride of the country, It's quite stunning to see 2,500 pagodas, and most of them were believed to have been built as early as the 12th century. This means that these pagodas have witnessed most of the country's history. Before getting to the pagodas, tourists will also get to experience a scenic ride with mountains and small winding roads. The intricate designs of the pagodas will surely intrigue anyone, even those with no interest in admiring architectural structures. That's just how brilliant these structures are. And even if there are thousands of them, each of them have their own unique touch. Number 1. Aokigahara Forest. At first glance, you might think that this is just an ordinary forest. And you're kinda right, if not for the fact that there are literally dozens of deaths in this very place. You might think that it's normal that some deaths frequently occur in some locations. But there's something eerie, mysterious, and melancholic about the Aokigahara Forest in Japan. If you don't know the story behind the forest, you'll experience nothing but tranquility and calmness while walking around the area, although it is admittedly naturally creepy on its own. If you have a strong sixth sense and you have good intuition, then you might experience the creeps even without knowing the things that happened in this forest. This is actually known as the Suicide Forest. This place is well known to be the place where people take and end their own lives. It can be found just a few miles from Mount Fuji. You may be wondering, just why did this place become a popular suicide spot? Some say that it was because of a novel titled Kuroi Jikai, which features a heartbroken woman who went to the forest with no intention of ever going back. Because of the many deaths in the area, which are often caused by tragic backstories, it's only natural to believe that the forest is very haunted. You'll also sometimes encounter belongings like shoes, clothes, and other things left by the people who took their lives in the area. So if you're ever brave enough to take a stroll in the area, you'll better focus on the positive messages left around the premises to deter people from taking their lives instead of the eerie atmosphere. Which of these discoveries in Asia shocked you the most? And do you know of any other mysterious discoveries in Asia? Let us know about them in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.